Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm really sorry. I was on Rhino Welt for way too long. Not way too long. I love being there. I loved it so much I couldn't pull myself from it. So that's that. All right. And you know what? Not that I'm ever going to do this because I think it's dishonest. But if I showed up 3 minutes late every day, it's really nice to see that everyone is already there rather than spending the 3 minutes waiting for people to join. But I wouldn't do that by design. Okay, so let's get into Rhino. So actually, it's still a parlay of Rhino Welt because, in fact, what I'm earmarking the rest of my day for, and I say the rest of my day because I've been at it since 3:14 or something. Whatever. The rest of my day is Rhino Welt. Now, that doesn't mean that my team's not doing TED still, right? So we'll get to that. But we do have something quite special with Rhino Welt in the fact that the numbers just make sense. And I've never, and not that this is, so before anyone ever gets offended by this sentence, you need to kind of take it for what it's worth. I don't give Rhino Welt my 100%. I don't. And it's still really good. Now, not giving it your 100% is not commensurate with not taking or sharing research that isn't the best. No, my research is the best. It's the best of my ability. But is it as much research as I probably could have if I spent every day, all day looking at it? No, right? Like anything you spend more time doing, you can do better and you have more time to do it. Do I think our performance overall could be better if I spent all day doing it? Yes. Now, I'm never going to spend all day doing it. But the amount of time I spend on Rhino Welt is a half an hour in the morning writing my email, a half an hour doing our call, and then maybe another half hour during the day, maybe writing one or two more emails. So maybe an hour and a half during the day. And then I spend maybe a half hour by myself studying stuff every other day. So let's say about 3.5 hours every 2 days. There's 7 days in a week, 7, 14, about 17.5 hours a week. No, 15.5 hours a week I probably spend with Rhino Welt. Now, what would Rhino Welt's what would Rhino Welt's performance look like if I spent 40 hours a week doing it? Well, I mean, probably 3 times better. Now, what would those hours be spent doing? Well, maybe I would have an hour-long call every weekend. Maybe I would write a research report every weekend. Maybe our calls would go from a half hour to 45 minutes to an hour. Maybe I'd spend an hour a day putting together our research, right? Like there's things that could be done. The reason I say all this is because we just did another trade yesterday. So as of now, every trade since Rhino Welt has been a thing from March 16th, 2020 to yesterday, which is October 30th, 2023, amounts to 221 trades, 177 of them profitable. The average trade being 26% profit, the average winning trade being 36% profit, the average hold time being 3 days. And the ability for one to participate is not held hostage by, oh man, I gotta wait for an email. Oh man, I gotta wait for a text message. Oh man, no, we have calls every morning. We have an actual sheet that shows you what's on our radar. Meaning, and I do it purposely because we don't recommend stocks, but I will go at, not but, because I don't want it to offset what I just said. We don't recommend stocks, period. In addition, to allow individuals to participate on the research how they individually see fit, we share what we're thinking about, meaning when I put something on our sheet saying, if this does this, then on day 3, we're going to take action on it. What it allows someone to do is say, wow, I have 3 days to either agree or disagree with that assessment. And I know that it's an honest assessment because in 3 days, I'm going to actually see him do it because he does it live and he shares it on the ledger and shares it via email immediately. Therefore, an individual can make a credible decision based on their own independent education, intelligence, and experience. Plus, the platform is it's education centric. The reason why I was just on Rhino Wealth so long is because the first 24 minutes I was actually teaching, which kind of comes off as Anthony's just lecturing this or that, which probably it looks like, but I'm lecturing from experience, and you know, that's kind of what teaching is, unless you want someone to just read a book and then regurgitate it, and that's boring. So it actually is quite good, at least I think so. That being said, the real question becomes, what is that worth? What's it worth? If you took it from, first of all, $5 a week is insane. I love it because I'm not in this for money. And it's so funny. Anyone could say, as long as my bank account allows my kids to go to the best schools and have the best life and allows me to continue living my dream of doing this, that's the bank account I want. Anything over that, I could, like, you could, I'll eat it. Like, I don't care. Like, here, take it. And not here to you, but like in general. So $5 a week, okay, fine. It's $5. People are participating. They have some skin in the game. It goes to Rhino Bucks. Cool. But if we actually looked at it and said, all right, let's take 15 hours and turn it into 40 hours, and let's identify the performance and what it is, now let's create an actual product of it. What's that product worth? Well, I think quite reasonably it could be worth $199 a month. I don't see why not. In fact, I was talking to that individual yesterday. And I said to him, I go, can I just like get online and start calling people out? Hey, Mr. Jones that has that $3,000 a month program, I challenge you to a performance over the next month. Guaranteed my performance will be better than yours. I'll put up $10,000 right now to a charity of your choosing. Do you wish to engage with me? He goes, Ant, don't do that. And I'm not going to do that, because I think that's like, who are you to do that? Go get your stuff together, get a platform that everyone's a participant in, and then talk to me. Because regardless of how credible you are, lions don't talk to ants, right? And I'm not an ant, but in that context I am, right? Like, I have this many and you have that many, right? So who am I to talk to? So I understood that. But the point being, on a performance basis, I will go up against anyone. I could beat you with only the 15 hours I'm doing a week. You give me 40 hours a week, I'll actually give you a head start. I'll start you at 10% and I'll still beat you. And that's not being cocky. The numbers are there. And again, I'm not, you know, the amount of time I'm dedicating is not commensurate with 100% effort. So the question still remains, what is that worth? And what's cooler about that, we've never done ads for anything. To do something so succinct that it's easy to understand. This is what Rhino Wealth is. This is the value proposition. This is what you're going to get. This is the price. There's no ambiguity. There's no thinking. It's like selling a shirt, which is why ads work for those things. You know what ads don't work for? TED. Not yet. Or anything we've Rhino Bucks. Because you have to, like, all right, I don't know. I have no clue what you just said. I guess it's good that you have people that believe you and they have the luxury and the luxury that they've known you long enough that they're able to synthesize your 3 years of blabber into a coherent message that they understand. But that's not something you can market. Like, you can't. But Rhino Wealth, you could market. So the question becomes, and we're funded, like, we have money. So if I said, all right, I'm going to spend this whole week putting that program together in such a way that we can then run ads to it, well, then the ads are just metrics. All right, this is our spend for, this is our cost per click, this is our cost per acquisition, this is our cost per sale, what's our profit, what's this, what's our retention? And I think our retention could be good because, again, our performance is great. So what does it cost to acquire a $200 a month client? I don't know. Probably less than $200 though. And if that's the case, well then what the heck are we doing? So that's a conversation, that's like a mental calculation. So what I'm going to do today is I'm gonna I gotta get in the dirt. I'm going to go through our whole performance list that, you know, I shared with everyone yesterday in the PDF. And then I'm going to take that date and correlate it to our emails and correlate it to our Rhino Wealths and go through our videos and download the video and then take the section that I'm talking about, that pic, put it next to the email, pick. No, we're not making picks. So let me take that back. Correlate it to the portion of the video that I'm sharing that research, then correlate it to the email that is me sharing that research. And then if I was able to present to you, say like a 10-minute, this is who we are, this is what we do, here's the proof for the last 3 years. Boom, 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 boom. Video of me saying it, chart of it happening, email that goes out, how it, at some point you would just say to yourself, as an individual, am I interested in the stock market? If the answer is yes, this is a person I want to work with. Now, whether it works out or not is a different story. But in terms of, do I think that person's credible and do I think their performance is something I could believe in? Yes, because look at, he's showing me the proof. He's on video talking about it. So I think we have the components to create an offering that very easily can have 1,000 paid subscribers at $200 a month. And what's funny about that is, Ant, all of a sudden you're just going to create 200,000 a month? Yes. Rhino doesn't not have money because Rhino doesn't have the ability to make money. Rhino has no money, well, not no money, but Rhino does not have the money because Rhino constantly reinvests in the tech that we believe is going to be the big picture in the future. We could turn on the spigots anytime we want, and this is an example of that. And I think it's responsible to, because my background's in investment and behavioral science and all the rest, I do have bells that go off in my head. I do have a spidey sense. And I think that it's okay to take a certain luxury to say, I don't care about profit and build. And I think it's okay to be transparent and that all investors know that. I don't think it's okay to believe that is allowed in perpetuity. I think there is a point in time where you have to be self-conscious, not self-conscious, but self-understanding to say, all right, people have given me the courtesy of a lifetime. I need to reward that. And if it means that I have to do this and then bring in 200,000 a month and send that money to Rhino Bucks and everyone's making a ton of money, then God bless. Like, I need to do that for you because of what you did for me. And I think this is the first time that it's a credible idea that makes sense, that's easily able to be formatted, and we have the funds to actually just hire someone. Like, I want to hire someone. I want to hire some agency or a collective of people that do Facebook ads, that do Instagram ads, that do all that nonsense, do the funnels, do all the rest. Anthony, it's going to cost you $10,000 and we will do everything. And that includes your first month of ad spend. And if you like it, it'll be $5,000 a month after that in ad spend, which means you're going to be doing $150 a day in spend. But we're going to have all the metrics in place. And for every $100 you spend, you'll receive 2 new clients. So I'm going to get 2 new clients that's worth $400 a month for $100. Okay, and now it just funds itself. And again, everything goes to Rhino Bucks. Except when I put my kids in a good school, right? Like, I reserve the right that if I can have the opportunity to put my son in a private school that costs $20,000 a year at the age of 4, I'm going to do it. So anyone that needs to hear that, done. My son's 2, by the way, so we have time. The point of this story being, I think this does that for us, and I want to do that for us. You have a unique money mindset that others envy. You know what it is? So I was listening to Jordan Peterson. I listen to him every morning. So ever since I finished Elon Musk's book, I'm on Jordan Peterson because I love him. He's a Canadian psychologist and he just resonates with me. And his book, The 12 Rules to Live Your Life, came out, I believe, 2012, and I'm mostly through it. And one of the chapters is learn how to think. And it resonates with me because most people think you're a psychopath if you're talking to yourself all day. But the ability to think is quite a difficult art. To be able to think, you have to have an opinion, but you also have to allow yourself to formulate the opposite opinion. And then you have to allow those 2 opinions to argue with each other while you're able to sit back from a bird's eye point of view and then see the merits of each one of their arguments and then and then cherry pick the best to create a new argument and then do the same thing over and over again until you have one argument that is your final argument, and that is your opinion. I thought about this and this is my solution. I could listen. Yeah, he's amazing. But what I just described to you is the proper way to think. But as you can see, you know how difficult it is for someone to say, I have this opinion, and I know that the only way that I can properly value my opinion is that I need to create and argue the opposite opinion to myself in the confines of my brain, take myself out and observe the argument and constantly craft and optimize it. That's the only way you can do it. So to the point of what Deb said, you have a unique money mindset. I'm always putting myself on the other end of this computer because I will never, ever, ever, and it's not cute to say take for granted. It's actually like I'm saying this selfishly. I get to live a life that allows me so many levers on the pursuit to an ethical outcome. I'm able to live my dream because I have been able to be blessed enough to be within an ecosystem that allows me that privilege. Don't kid yourself. I know if everyone said, hey, Ant, listen, I want everything back, let's go, my life would be very different very quickly. The point being, I don't ever take that for granted. I know that I need to be on the other side of this computer because I need, selfishly, that you constantly always are of the belief the experience that I'm having is a good one so that we can constantly grow it and compound it to a point that we reach that thing where we all look back and say, yes, that's not guaranteed. That is work every day. So that is always happening. Now that I've just proved that I'm certifiably insane, let's continue. All right, so that's my Rhino Wealth commentary. Rhino Bucks commentary. We purchased, actually, I think $600 today. I just wanted to buy more. Let me see where we're at. We're at 210.97. We were 212. There was a sale for 50, which is fine. That was the first sale and I know you can see me, I can't see you, in over 23 transactions. I looked up who the seller is, and that seller has 1,100 more Rhino. I don't know. Maybe they're testing it, but if they sold it, they sold it. But the point of me saying that is I know it. I know, looking at that, what I need to be cognizant of, right? If all of a sudden I get an email from this person, hey, Ann, I have a question. I always get back to my emails, but that one I'm going to get back to pretty quickly. Oh, hi, how are you? How's your day? Love you, miss you. How's the kids? Okay, what did you have for lunch? Well, talk to me. Because I have to wear many hats. If I know you're selling, I want to know why without ever saying it, right? So little funny commentary, but it's also, if I was on the other end of this computer, I would want to know, okay, when Anthony needs to hug someone, he knows how to. So that's that. So Rhino Bucks is going fine. In fact, it's eclipsed 123,000. Again, our all-time high was 137,000, which means we're 14,000 behind that, which comes out to roughly 10%. So we're 10% under our all-time high after these months. Oh, the ledger. So the last time we updated the ledger was October 1st, because this month was just, I wasn't touching it. We had no money to put into it. There was selling, there was this, there was that. But I knew, let me just focus on what we're doing and then we'll get to that, right? I don't like dedicating time to things that don't need the time. That's not to say they don't deserve the time, but there is a priority list in my head. Hey, Frida. And my priority list is not Anthony's priority list, it's Rhino's priority list. So I need to always communicate that, I'm not being mean. I'm accountable to your future. So trust me on this. That being said, I also know the ledger needs to be accurate. So I deleted the last 30 days that we didn't touch because there's no way I could go back and know those numbers, right? I can't. So we have it, you know what, let me just do this. Hold on, let's go to share screen. Okay, for anyone that does not know the address, it is rhinoledger.com. Nice and easy. And it goes back to September 21st, 2022. We've been doing this for over a year. Everyone always knows all the numbers, which is a double-edged sword, right? It allows everyone to feel comfortable, but if all of a sudden I don't do the numbers, the comfort that you have is conversely now the anxiety you have. Oh my God, now they're not doing numbers. Why is that? Which you should be upset about. all of a sudden not doing numbers is like a red flag times 10. So you can see 1031, these numbers are all accurate. They're obviously very different than the previous set, but as you can see, that was 930. So this is literally 31 days later. So you can see the numbers are different. But what you can see is the high was 137,672, right? And we went all the ways down to, I hate when it does that, hold on. We went all the ways down to, let's see, 116,952. Is there something lower? No, 116,952 is the lowest. So it went from 137 to 116, which was like a 21,000 drop. And now we're back to 122. So we're clawing our way back, and we'll be back there before time. Now this thing, the composite weighted 30-day plus lifetime correlation, let me just show you it. For those that have never seen that, actually, hold on a sec. Let me do it in such a way that you can see the whole formula. So let me move it over to the right. For those that have never seen it, we've built an algorithm that actually allows you to have a semblance of what the projected price is based on all of the known factors. So I'm like mentally ill, and this is stuff I enjoy doing. So this is the entire algorithm I built out. And of course, it's not meant for you to understand it at the moment. It's more meant for you to be impressed by it, because I don't have enough time to properly put you in a position to understand it. So that's not a silly sentence, but it's logical. Anyone looking at that's like, Anthony, I have no idea what I'm looking at, right? But what it actually is so all of these categories that have these colors at top, it's correlated. So for instance, when there's this much daily volume, and there's this much liquidity pool, and there's this much as an average Rhino retirement, and there's this much, and the Nasdaq's worth this, and this, and this, when all of these are true, great, the price is this, right? So that's a fact. When all of this is true, the price is that. Now, the next day happens, and this changed, but this changed, and this changed, and this changed. What's the price? Well, how can you calculate that? Well, you'd have to actually go back in time and see, well, this variable is worth this much percentage of the price, and it has this much rate of change. And when the rate of change of the rate of change equals this for this asset, and that asset moved at a different rate of change at an opposite level, those two things calculate to be worth X percentage of this price. Take that, multiply it by every single column you see, and back test it against every data point that we've had, and then predict it on a 100-day and a 30-day going forward. That is how we get that calculated price. Meaning, when things are happening, they're precursors. So for instance, if I were to ask you, okay, Rhino price, what would be the indicator that you would look at to tell yourself, oh, it's time to close out my investment or sell? Maybe you would say, well, if I saw the membership drop off, that would be a clear sign. Or maybe someone else would say, if I see the average price per member really drop off, then I know. Maybe someone else would say, well, if I see Bitcoin tanking, well, Rhino's still a crypto, and it's, maybe people, you could still love Rhino, but people are taking losses over there. They're going to sell any crypto they have to cover their losses. And maybe someone else would say, well, Bitcoin's not really the thing. It's the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq really illustrates people's desire and risk factor to get the go companies and stocks. And all of those could be accurate. In fact, they all are accurate, but what's the most accurate? So anyone that said any one of those things is true, but maybe the person that said choice A is more true than choice B. Like, for instance, if I ask you, what's a bigger determining factor of your daughter becoming a stripper? Is it having a bad father that was never there for her, or is it her living in a low-income community? Well, I don't know the answer, but I probably think it's having a bad father. I think having a good father is a very good thing for especially a daughter, because you're the template of her belief of what a guy should be. And if you're an abuser and you're abusing her mother and you're cursing at them and you disrespect her and you let her have bad boyfriends, well, there might be a chance that she grows up and really disrespects herself, or really believes that her worth is very low, or believes that this is the way guys are supposed to act, and a strip club is really an aggregate of really those dirtbag guys. A lot of my analogies are more family oriented because I miss my kids more than words itself. But that's another story. The point being, which variable is more meaningful to the outcome? That's what that sheet is tries to predict, right? So the point of this story, if you go to rhinoledger.com, you will know all of the statistics, and you're welcome to play with all the numbers, and you'll be able to see, well, at the rate that we are today, this is the predicted value that it'll be 30 days from now. That doesn't mean it's going to be that, but it does give you a certain semblance. Okay, like for instance, think about the last month or two. We haven't generated any income. We're delayed on our TED. We had a big seller. We haven't been purchasing the market. If I told you all that stuff and said, what do you think Rhino price is going to be? You might have an opinion. But what if I told that to someone who didn't know anything about Rhino? What would his opinion be? Oh, I would sell that in a second. That thing's worth zero. I knew it was a scam anyway. How do you formulate, how do you decide which one of those opinions is accurate? Because everyone has an opinion, and everyone's opinion is credible to at least them. And since everyone's interaction equals the ultimate price, you need to actually formulate which opinion is most reasonable and accepted by the highest amount of people. And unfortunately, you can't do that. Like, you can't go ahead and ask everyone. You don't have the ability to. But if you were looking at the ledger, you would have always seen, all right, well, these numbers are still these, and it's still this, and it's still this. And all of these numbers suggest to me that by past performance and all the aggregate of everything Rhino has done, that even in this time, it still holds a value. I don't know why, but it does, because those numbers are telling me it. Which also is the reason that in our worst of times, Rhino went from what, 270 to 180? Oh my God, wow, we're already at over 210, like a week later. Which means if that was the worst you can do, it's almost like, again, going through a divorce, you've had the opportunity of like the element of surprise. You have teams of lawyers. You have me in 3 different courtrooms. You've taken my children from me. You've kicked me out of the house legally. You have different restraining orders on me. All of this stuff when I had no ability to defend myself, where it's all a surprise to me. And this is the best you've done. What do you think is going to happen now that I'm able to go on offense? Like, seriously. The point being, same thing with Rhino. If you can see that in the worst of times, the defense alone was able to equal where it is, now that the worst of times are behind and the best of times are forward, now what do you think that is? What do you think happens then? You know, if you swim with 1,000-pound weight on your back and the 1,000-pound weight comes off, you're going to be a fast swimmer. So I think Rhino Bucks is in a good position. I'm a little biased, obviously, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. So I want to touch on that as well. I see a lot of comments. There always seems to be an ant end of the year. So, oh, okay, yeah. All right, so we touched on Rhino Bucks, we touched on Rhino Welt, TED, and then I'll let you go because I know it's 11:02 already. And only one person actually, you know, maybe a lot of people like longer calls, but there is one person that will email me anytime I do a short call and say, I want longer calls. So I know that individual is loving the length of this call. TED, okay. So in life, it's always funny when you start a sentence like that. It's like, all right, Ant, where are we going with this? Whether you're a parent, whether you're a founder, whether you're a boss, whether you're in anything, you do have the responsibility to teach and enforce and nurture discipline. Like your kid that wants to eat ice cream every night, that cries nonstop when you don't give them ice cream, you're not being a good father by then giving them ice cream. When your kid's a teenager and when your daughter is 13 and wants to date a 17-year-old boy and says she loves him and she hates you, I hate you, I hate you, I wish you never won me back from your mother, which I'm already playing in my head. Like the second one of my kids say something like that, I'm gonna bawl crying, first of all. But that's kids, like, and if you're already prepared to hear it, not that I think that's going to alleviate it, at least the point being, you're not a good parent by then saying to your daughter, oh, she says she hates me, so I got to let her do that thing that I know is not what she's supposed to do. There's a fine line on how you do that. And the same thing with being a founder and actively working with your team. I'm not thrilled that Ted's taken this long. I'm not thrilled about a lot of things. And I think that in allowing everyone the comfort of creativity, I think that's okay. We're inventing stuff. We're working mobily. We all live in different states. I need to know, to a certain sense, A, how important my team is. If they just told me to kick rocks or actively try to sabotage things, do I know code to stop them? I don't. So the viability of Rhino is a thing that factors into my decision. I can't yell at someone. If they leave, I'm like, oh, SHIT. At the same time, I need to nurture creativity. I need to nurture the zero pressure, that someone's allowed to freely think of solutions that haven't been invented yet. Okay. Where is the line between that and being an accomplice to allowing someone to perform at a level less than that they could have if you offered a little bit of discipline? And that was actually my line yesterday. So I did speak to my team, and the only way to share that it worked is when you speak to your team separately, but in such a way that they're a little defensive. They make that one comment that you know they wish they had back, and even still, and that comment has no curse words in it, right? Like when someone starts cursing at you, you know that there's a lack of respect. But there is a moment in time where someone says something to you and you're like, you say something sharp back, and then you see that the person you said it to disengages and walks away. And then when cooler heads prevail, now you're thinking to yourself, all the things that I just shared, this guy has always given me time, he's never pressured me, all of those things, he's going through it, and I had the audacity to say that to him while he's sitting there trying to help me. Because then that person comes back and says, hey, listen, I just want to let you know I'm working on it right now, and I believe I'll have it done by the end of the day. That's when you know you did it correctly. Because you know that person had to walk away, had to take mental account of, do I want to be here? Do I not? And the decision was so obvious that they wanted to be, that they felt shamed and apologetic, but didn't want to apologize, which is fine, because you never shame someone into submission. You don't make people lose face. You take them back like the prodigal son. And by the end of the night, I was getting an update. Hey, we're in a really good place. I think we'll have it for tomorrow, which was a screenshot that I sent in our email last night. I wanted to give you that color because it's very easy for someone to say, hey, listen, I spoke to my team and they're really on it. It's quite different to listen to the commentary I just shared and it viscerally hits you where you're like, oh, I understand that story at such a level that A, if that story didn't happen, you wouldn't just think to make that up. And secondly, only when a story like that happens do you understand the benefit of it to be able to share it. So that's kind of like, it's kind of the way to fact check someone in real time. And I hope I was able to provide that. So our team is reborn. Not that I would say that to them because I think that's trite. You don't want, but there's that moment where you have a kid and they do something really, really stupid and they say something really bad to you. And then they see you cry or something and they come back to you and you have that talk and then you go out for ice cream and something good happens. And that journey changes the person because now they're making a social obligation to you. They're saying it publicly, even if it's not in words, but by sharing that ice cream with you, by recapping the story, and by accepting your hug, it's almost like a handshake. I'll never do it again. In fact, it's so strong that if they ever do it again, you say to them, didn't we talk about this the other day? Why were we having ice cream? And they're like, I know, I'm sorry. I can't believe I lied to you, even though they never actually said anything. Body language is like 98% of communication. And with a behavioral science background, I can promise you, I'm on it. So this went far longer than I wanted, but that's not a bad thing. I think we covered a lot of good bases. So the rest of my day is Rhino Wealth. I'm going to check in with my team, see where they're at. I'm going to continue offering them that creativity space, because I now know that it's very front of mind to them, that they know that I am expecting something. And I think, like anything else, if you want to impress somebody that you want to say sorry to, there's only one way to do it, and that's with accomplishment. And I think that's the currency that my team is going to be fighting to the death for today, which is benefit to everyone. Oh, so that is that. Love you all. And I'm going to actually do my best to get this up right away. So right after this, I'm going to finish drinking my celery, cucumber. There's 21 ingredients, not going to bore you with it, because it'll be like another 3 minutes of this call. I'm going to put this up, check on the team, spend an hour researching stocks, because I do want to do something actionable today, share that with Rhino Wealth, and then the rest of the day is the research for Rhino Wealth. That's my day. So if anyone needs me, I'll be here. Love you, and have a great day. Bye. Oh, and by the way, if it looks like I just woke up, it's because this is what I look like when I woke up. I have not gotten a shower yet, but I didn't just wake up, I promise. Okay, I need to look presentable, but today I didn't have time to shower. I think I said the same thing yesterday. I really got to make time to shower. I'm going to do that now. Bye.